Your shift on Vega Station is quiet, the kind of quiet that sinks into your bones. For 12 hours, you have watched the void, nothing but the slow dance of distant stars. The station hums around you, a gentle, reassuring thrum of life support and power. You sip your lukewarm coffee, another 4 hours to go. Then the alert flashes, a single amber icon on your main console. It is a gravimetric distortion alert. You frown. Those are common near the asteroid belts. But this one is different. The source is Sector 9, empty space. There is nothing in Sector 9. Not a ship, not a moonlet, not even cosmic dust. You run the diagnostic again. The result is the same. Something is there. Something with the mass of a small moon. Your fingers dance across the controls. You pull up the deep space sensor logs. The readings are impossible. They defy the known laws of star science. A cold knot tightens in your stomach. This is not a glitch. This is not an equipment malfunction. The silence of the void feels different now. It feels like it's holding its breath, and you are holding yours with it. A klaxon suddenly blares through the command deck. Red lights flash, painting the walls in strokes of panic. The impossible reading has become a visual phenomenon. On the main view screen, where only blackness should be, something is wrong. It looks like a crack in a sheet of glass, a tear in the very fabric of space. It glows with a soft, violet light, and it is growing. The station's automated defense systems roar to life. Turrets swivel, targeting the anomaly. But there is nothing to shoot at. It has no heat signature. It has no energy profile. It is a hole in the universe. From your console, you see the tear stabilize. It is now a perfect circle of wrongness. A gateway to somewhere else. Then, something emerges. It is not a ship. It is not a creature. It is a shape. A vast, crystalline structure that glitters with internalized light. It is impossibly large, dwarfing Vega Station. It moves with a silent, deliberate grace. It pays you no mind. It simply exists, a monument to a reality that is not yours. The defenses fire. Lasers and plasma bolts vanish against its surface without a trace. They do not impact. They are simply gone. The entity does not return fire. There is no counterattack, no explosion, just a subtle shift in the station's hum. The lights on your console flicker. They dim to a dull orange. Then, one by one, they go out. The main view screen dissolves into static. The reassuring thrum of the station dies. It is replaced by a profound, unnerving silence. The only light comes from the emergency strips on the floor. The air grows cold. You can see your breath. Life support is failing. But the entity has not fired a single weapon. It doesn't need to. Its mere presence is unraveling your technology. It is a whisper that screams louder than any explosion. It is a force of nature from a place where your nature has no meaning. You try to reboot your console. The screen stays dark. You try the hardwired comms panel. Nothing but static. The station is dead in the water, trapped in a bubble of silence imposed by the silent giant outside. A junior officer nearby begins to panic. Her frantic taps on a dead screen echo in the quiet. You tell her to save her energy. This is not a power failure. This is something else entirely. A single terminal in the corner of the deck flickers to life. It is an old archive server, one that runs on a closed, isolated network. It is slow and outdated, and it is the only thing still working. On its screen is a single corrupted data file. The title is unreadable, but the access date is ancient. From a long-dead civilization, the Elder Ones. You manage to uncorrupt a fragment of the file. It is not a technical document. It is a warning. A final, desperate message. It speaks of a great and terrible power. A being, or a force, they called the cosmic filter. It travels the void, judging entire star systems. It seeks out complex, ordered systems. Technological signatures are like beacons to it. The file describes the filter's method. It does not destroy with energy or matter. It imposes its own reality. A reality of absolute, crystalline perfection. A state where the messy chaos of life cannot exist. Technology fails because it is a product of that chaos. The elder ones faced it. They fought it with their incredible science, and they lost. The last lines of the file are a chilling plea. A plea to embrace the madness. To be the noise, not the signal. As you finish reading, the station groans. Not the sound of metal stress. It is a deeper, stranger sound. The corridor outside your viewport seems to stretch. The lines of the walls bend and curve. Time itself feels sluggish, thick. You look at your watch. The second hand stutters, then begins to tick backward. This is not just a technological failure anymore. Reality is coming apart at the seams. Someone screams from the medical bay. They say a crewman's reflection in a mirror is moving on its own. Another report comes over a sputtering, battery-powered radio. A supply closet is now an endless, starry void. The filter is not attacking. It is rewriting. It is smoothing over the complex wrinkles of your existence. Someone asks if you have a plan. You almost laugh. Plans are for problems that make sense. The command staff is gone. The captain's last known position was near the primary reactor, a deck that no longer appears to exist. You are the highest-ranking officer left. You, a mid-level sensor technician. Everyone is looking at you. Their faces are pale in the dim emergency light. They need hope. You need a miracle. And then, you see it. The old archive server is still on. The battery-powered radio still crackles. Your simple kinetic watch is still ticking forward, even if the time it shows is now meaningless. The filter ignores them. These simple, analog systems are beneath its notice. They are too primitive, too chaotic. They are not the ordered, complex signals it is designed to purge. A flaw in its perfection. A tiny, ridiculous flaw. And in that flaw, you see an answer. You grab the crackling radio. Everyone, listen to me, you say. Your voice is steady, far steadier than you feel. We can't fight it with technology, so we won't. You outline the plan. It sounds insane as you say it. It probably is insane. You are going to fight a reality-bending cosmic god with chaos, with noise, with everything it seeks to erase. You tell them to tear the station apart, not with explosives, with their hands, with tools. They must disable every advanced system, every computer, every sensor, every automated process. They must make Vega Station an analog ghost, a primitive shell that the filter will overlook. For a moment, there is only stunned silence. Then, a grizzled engineer nods slowly. It's the best bad idea I've ever heard, he says. Let's get to work. A new energy fills the crew. The despair is replaced by a fierce, desperate purpose. Teams spread out through the darkened corridors. They move with a strange mix of precision and savagery. They are not just disabling systems. They are performing a ritual, an act of technological regression. They pry open control panels. They sever fiber optic cables with bolt cutters. The air fills with the hiss of depressurizing conduits. You watch as the heart of the station is carefully taken apart. The fusion core's magnetic containment is spun down. Its complex control systems are bypassed. Power is rerouted to a simple, chemical-fueled generator. A noisy, inefficient beast of a machine. It rumbles to life, a defiant growl in the silence. Vega Station is becoming invisible. It is shedding its skin of order and complexity, hiding in plain sight. The final piece of your plan is the most critical. The main communications array, a massive dish pointed at the stars. Its advanced transmitters are useless. But the dish itself is just metal, a simple physical object. The engineers rig it to the backup generator. They bypass the digital processors. They connect the amplifiers directly to a collection of simple microphones. This will be your weapon, a symphony of static. You give the order, broadcast everything. One crewman starts reading from a tattered paperback novel. Another starts singing an old, off-key sea shanty. You hook up the surviving biomonitors. The sound of their own frantic heartbeats joins the chorus. They play old music files, not the pure digital versions, but recordings from ancient, scratched vinyl. It is a broadcast of pure, unfiltered human life, raw, messy, and chaotic. The cacophony erupts from the dish, a wave of disorganized, analog noise. It pours into the void. At first, nothing happens. The crystalline entity remains impassive. It continues its silent work of rewriting the station. A corridor near the comms array dissolves into a shimmering heat haze. The crew holds their ground. They shout poetry into the microphones. They tell bad jokes. They confess their fears. They add their own noise to the beautiful, terrible mess. Then, the giant stirs. For the first time it reacts. The silent, graceful entity shudders. A deep, resonant hum vibrates through the station's hull. It is a sound of annoyance, of confusion. It had ignored your lasers. It had ignored your missiles. But this wall of biological noise has gotten its attention. The reality warping effects intensify. The air around the comms dish begins to twist and shimmer. The entity is focusing its power. It is trying to smooth this pocket of chaos. The deck plates beneath your feet ripple like water. A crewman screams as his hand temporarily becomes transparent. You yell for them to hold the line. This is it, the breaking point. They have to prove that their chaos is more stubborn than its order. They form a human wall around the array and its power source. Engineers use simple crowbars to brace warping support beams. They hold them in place with sheer muscle and will. Medics tend to those disoriented by the temporal shifts. They ground them with simple questions. What is your name? Where are you from? The noise continues. It is a roar of defiance, a testament to the stubborn, illogical spirit of your species. You realize it is working. The chaos is a shield. It is a weapon the filter cannot comprehend. But a shield is not enough. You have its attention. Now you have to communicate. An idea strikes you. A flash of desperate brilliance. You need to add a pattern to the madness. A signal within the noise. You find an old keyboard, barely functional, wired into the broadcast system. Your fingers are clumsy in the cold. You start tapping out a simple sequence. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. You broadcast prime numbers, the most basic, fundamental sign of intelligence. A pattern that could not occur naturally. You layer it into the symphony of static, a whisper of logic in a hurricane of chaos. It is a message. We are here. We are messy. We are loud. And we think. The ultimate paradox. The effect is immediate. The pressure stops. The hum from the crystalline entity ceases. The warping reality snaps back into its proper shape. The deck beneath your feet is solid again. The air is still. The giant hangs in the void, silent once more. But this is a different silence. It is not ignoring you. It is listening. It is processing the impossible signal. The broadcast of life and logic intertwined. Slowly, majestically, the great breach begins to close. The tear in space shrinks. The violet light fades. The crystalline entity recedes back into its own universe. It does not acknowledge you. It offers no farewell. It simply leaves. As the last sliver of the breach seals itself shut, Vega Station is plunged back into total silence and darkness. But this time, it is a silence of victory. Vega Station is a wreck, a shell of its former self. Its advanced heart has been ripped out. The corridors are dark and cold, but you are alive. The crew survived. They gather on the command deck, their faces lit by handheld torches. They are exhausted, bruised, and covered in grime. But they are smiling. A quiet sense of awe settles over them. They faced the impossible, and they won through sheer, stubborn humanity. You look out the main viewport. The stars are just stars again. Uncaring, unchanging. But something has changed. Humanity has changed. You are no longer just another species, reaching for the heavens with your fragile technology. You have faced a cosmic test. You have been judged by a power beyond your comprehension. And you did not just pass. You broke the test. A new directive will be written, a new philosophy for star travel. Do not hide your chaos. Do not suppress your noise. Your greatest strength is not in your perfect machines or your flawless logic. It is in your messy, emotional, illogical, and beautifully chaotic soul. You have a new place among the stars now. You are the unpredictable variable, the species that stared into the face of perfect order and taught it a thing or two about the importance of making a little noise.